I speak for a minute? You know, it's actually brought up last time I was here about choir kids. By the time I got out of here, got home, me and my wife were still intimidated by the choir kids. Midnight, I had to call law enforcement again. And I know they were over there several times since then, and they always say, we will talk to the kids or talk to the parents. But it seems like nothing's been done. You can talk all day long, but we got to take action because, you know, I don't feel comfortable when they threaten my wife with a hammer or a pair of scissors, shears.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, we will tell you. I know this is actually the streets now. But we got that. We'll have Chief talk to them again. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
No, thank you. Chairman.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. May need to use the restroom before we. Any Cub fans in attendance? You guys feeling pretty good right now? I feel pretty good. The White Sox got rid of their team.
I'm sure they're going to make a World Series, but they, you know, like a one series in the postseason.
And it wasn't a letter, it was a read your meter and send it in from the city. We never got a letter.
Alvin Ernest is a Cardinal fan. He's, you know, they're weird that they're not even near it now.
He's in the same boat as I am right now.
Yeah, I know. You guys are allowed to sit home one October. You guys are allowed to sit home 1 October.
And the next October, the next October.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take the roll, please.
Okay, Alderman Ambassador.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Patak.
Here.
Reynolds.
Present.
LaBerry.
Present.
Jepson.
Present.
Herndon.
Here.
Gray.
I'd like to open up the meeting to any comments from the public, their thoughts, questions, concerns, statements, thoughts. Anybody would like to make a comment now? We got yours, sir. We'll be on that in the corner there of 9th and Joliet.
I'd like to make a comment. Jamie Hicks, 4th Ward. Thank you, Brent. He fulfilled my FOIAs. We are square. I just like to say thank you for that. I have 2 things that I'd like to bring up. And I'll ask you, Mayor Grove, since I think you're the reason behind the Open Meetings Act change of why we changed the public comment to the beginning of the meeting from the end of the meeting.
I guess it's just kind of similar to what we talked about last time. Is a situation now you have a chance to talk about anything, line items below. And so now this is your opportunity to do that. And then, because before we had it being the comments after the fact and people were jumping in during each line item, we're going through the agenda. So now it's a situation where everybody can jump in now and say, hey, you know, the request for the heater sign company on behalf of Bex, I have an issue with that or whatever. So that's why we're doing it, because it doesn't really make sense to have public comment after we're acting on stuff.
The problem with that is most people don't know. If they look at this, they're not going to know I wouldn't know what you're talking about when you say that. So then they don't know what they're going to be asking you. It's kind of backwards. I realize you don't want us butting in throughout the whole meeting, but I just don't know why it got changed, and I kind of do know why. I would like to bring up the CARES number 3 permit. Has anybody read this on the board up here? Read this whole permit? The laws and stuff that the city's supposed to be doing on this? I think y'all should read it, and I think it needs to be updated, because I can count on this thing about 5 violations right off the get-go that Karis Chemicals should have off this permit. And they're not getting in trouble for anything. Nothing. They're getting a free ride. And when I asked for the FOIA, we got a 3-year gap between the last time it was looked at, and she just went out there on 8/31/2023. This is why my FOIA was delayed.
I don't know if it's delayed, but we got it right for the end, and I appreciate bringing it up. Because we definitely, I'll take responsibility and drop the ball on that 2 years, and I know we had some transition, but that's no excuse.
The permit's out of date from 2011. It's not even signed by the people. It says here, if this thing is not signed, they are non-compliant according to the permit. That puts them in a different range. That means you have to inspect them more. You have to, there's levels of it. It's in the permit. You guys wrote this shit up. Jim McFedrin, I know you were behind this permit. Jim?
Well, we have other people that do a lot of permit writing.
Well,
I'm not sure which document you're.
I'm referring to the 2011 to 2016 permit that was signed in 2013 is being activated. And the reissuing date was 2011. It's 2016, the application is no, the permits, we're running off an old permit. We know they updated their stuff. We know they're pumping more water down your sewage plant, our sewage plant. The permit needs to be updated.
Discharge permit? Is that what you're talking
This is, yes, the number 3, Karis Chemical discharge permit into our sanitation sewer. All these chemicals, these heavy metals that are all in our yard, get all pumped down our sewer. And they get limits on what they're supposed to be doing. And I don't think anybody's checking this stuff. And it says in here, self-monitoring for Karis Chemical in general, how they take their samples and how they're supposed to have their books. 40 minutes is not going to, a 40-minute inspection that she did is not going to
Because there
cover
was a FOIA, right?
all this stuff in this permit. There's no way. We're talking about a total inspection, storage of chemicals, locations, testing equipment, records for 3 to 5 years, photocopies, everything. I just ask you to please, everybody, could you please read it for me? And tell me if I'm making shit up. Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about the water, the city water. I'm coming to understand, I asked a few weeks ago why the heavy metals and stuff are in our water. Nobody seemed to know, but looking at the permit and what they're allowed to discharge and stuff, I mean, it's obvious that that's why that stuff was in our furnace filters and that's why it's in the city water. I would like, the city to relook at their standards as far as what the quality of water is that us residents are getting. I don't think it's fair that all this stuff is in there. And then when you look at them, they're self-monitoring. When they do the testing, for some reason the levels all come back the same. It's what was it, 80 something or what?
There's no you
how could it
just
possibly
can't
come
tell
back
me
the
that
same?
you can go into a chemical plant in 3 years of testing, all numbers are the same,
Yeah.
exactly the same, and then 1 year is
It's
different.
literally impossible.
And it's all through COVID, just like I said.
But I mean, people get sick from that kind of stuff. I mean, it's in our yards. You're not going to do anything about the yard testing that you guys said you were going to do. So I would hope that you would take it upon yourselves to do something about what's in the water and relook at that. I don't think it's fair. We pay taxpayer money to have drinkable water, and that water is not drinkable if you look at the levels of stuff and what's actually in it. And there is mercury in there too. How, I don't know, but
I know, it's from the ore. It's a waste.
it's not something that should be acceptable. I mean, it's just not. but that's all.
There's just a lot of rules that aren't being followed. And like I said, they're slipping through the gaps, and nobody's being held accountable for them. And that's my major issue, is still nobody's being held accountable at Cares Chemical for what they did. Today I got a letter that my fine insurance company decided to drop me, and they were just over at my house last week with their adjuster and the main guy from, down in Bloomington. And I'm sure I'm not the only one getting these fancy little letters. This is what Cares Chemical has done to us. And you wonder why we're so mad and we want you to do something about this chemical plant that is in our friggin' neighborhood. Today they had something blowing out the side of it, whistling, steam blowing out sideways. I don't even know what was going on. But I know I smelled something up by my house. And I got video of it because I had to go down and check out and see what's going on. Because nobody, you're too busy looking for stupid stuff, taking my phone and shit like that, instead of applying the rules that you guys made.
I reclaim a minute of my time. Thanks, Jamie. But, Boo, I wanted to ask you, what goes on at the plant at night, at sand plant, that there's, just astronomical amounts of dust and sand coming from the plant?
There's sand, I don't know where.
Well, what's coming?
That's cement dust.
Okay,
You're going to get it right now with the dew point, with the air.
But so when after the fire happened, for about 3 weeks, I was trying to clean my car, and I live all the way up on the Harpin 15.
Right, you need vinegar for that.
Well, I would wash it so I could go down to the State Farm and have them look at it and see that there was, the white marks from the fire. And I would literally go wash my car, tip through the car wash, go home, park it in the road for a minute. About an hour or two later, I'd come back and there's already dust on it. And from what I'm hearing, it's coming from the sand plant. Is that true? Or?
We are not a cement. We are a cement plant.
Or cement, okay.
Cement.
But is the stuff that is the stuff that comes from your?
Well, we're in federal regulations because we get checked by the EPA.
Well, I'm understanding that.
We got monitors on.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong, Boo. I'm just asking if that's where it's coming, or is it coming from Caris?
I would say that some of the dust is coming from Illinois Cement.
But that's not where you work?
I work at Illinois Cement.
Oh, okay. I'm not being smart aleck. I thought that's where you work. Okay. Yeah.
I've been up there forever and ever.
But I never really noticed how fast it gets. My car gets dusty because it's black. Until I tried to keep it clean for a couple hours, and it was literally impossible unless I
I would
took it home.
recommend if you got a whatever to call them, they'll give you some tokens and some
Yeah.
vinegar, and they'll take care of you with some vinegar and whatever you get you take.
All right, thank you.
Have we ever reached out to Caris about if they're gonna contaminate our water, about giving us free bottles of water?
I don't want their names.
To supply that to the city of LaSalle? If our water is not drinkable, they should be able to supply it. They're getting our water for pennies on a gallon, and we're paying high dollars on our water, but we can't even use it. Our water is good to use to water the grass, but not much more than that. So if they're contaminating our water, can't we reach out to them and see if they're getting our water so cheap, if they could help the residents get some drinkable water? Have we thought about that?
They're not contaminating our water.
Oh, okay.
Well, where's the stuff coming from then?
The water comes from the well field down below, south of the canal. So our water, I drink my water every day, so it's.
You're tough. You're a tough man. Oh my God.
No, our water meets all standards. Our water is excellent quality.
Excellent.
It is excellent quality. It meets every.
Thought we just did.
It exceeds the.
Where are you pulling the tap from, though? I know, I've been with guys who tested the water.
Daily. And we will
Water
have
that's
a
coming
water
out.
plant operator here if you'd like to tell you how high quality our water is.
we can't drink our water up where we live. I don't know where you live,
It
but
was blue the other day.
we can't drink our water. It's either over chlorinated so bad it burns your eyes when you turn the damn tap on.
Something happens from the time it leaves the plant to the time it gets to our house, then that.
Yeah, it runs through the pipes.
Huh?
It runs through the pipes.
Yeah.
I've had the water tested both by the water plant and at my house, and I run through a 3-part osmosis system with 2 differentiating membranes. It's a very high quality system. I've tested before and after, and I tried to figure out the same thing.
It's what pipes? The
It's
pipes
the
in my
pipes
house?
that the water runs through.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
picking up all the scale and all the chlorine, all the crap that sits in the pipes. And then you need a pre-filter in your house that handles that, but it's not properly coming from the city.
Yeah.
Well,
The city probably doesn't.
I've got all new plumbing, so it's not coming from my house.
No, it's from the,
If
it's,
somebody's coming from the city, you have some old lead pipes underground yet too.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
None of our mains have lead in them. They might have a service line that we are required to get an account of, which we are in the process of doing.